Hey friends, welcome back to Homestead on a Prayer. In case you're new here, my name's Jennifer and welcome to my garden. We're out here in my garden on this kind of chilly fall day, and as you can see, I've got a stack of books with me. Now, if I had to narrow it down, I think that these would be my 5 favorite herbal medicine books. There are so many herbal medicine books out there that it was really hard for me to choose my 5 favorites, but I wanted to keep this video manageable and not overwhelming, so I did my best to narrow it down to 5. So these are 5 excellent books. We're going to talk about these in just a minute. So a couple weeks ago, Jessica over at Roots and Refuge Farm posted a video where she talked about the importance of making sure that you have access to solid, reliable information. Now, in this age, my rooster has some opinions about this too, as you can hear. In this age where technology is advancing really fast, especially artificial intelligence technology, you know, there's so many books out there and so much information out there that is not actually written by a person. And it can become a little bit overwhelming and a little bit hard to know what information out there you can actually trust. So she actually put out a video on her channel inviting people to join a collab with her where we all share our favorite resources with homesteading, gardening, basically anything related to homesteading or natural living. So I chose the topic of herbal medicine. So she is going to be compiling those videos in a playlist on her channel. I think as of the time this video is posted, that playlist will most likely not be posted yet, but I will include a link to her channel in the video description, so make sure that you check that out. I know I will definitely be checking back to look for that playlist because I am really excited to get access to lots more information like this as well. So let's jump into my 5 favorite herbal medicine books. The first book that I want to recommend, and this is the book that I would recommend to someone who didn't really have any herbal medicine experience, who wasn't really familiar with it. I think this is a great starting point, is this one right here. This is Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. Now, I really love this book, especially as an introduction to herbal medicine. I mean, as you can see, she titles it A Beginner's Guide, so it's really geared towards someone who is just sort of discovering herbal medicine for the first time. Rosemary Gladstar has a really conversational way of writing, and, you know, herbal medicine is such a big topic. It's a big, complex topic, and she really breaks it down and takes it from being potentially overwhelming to really accessible. I think that just the way that she explains things and the way that she talks in such a conversational style is really helpful. Another reason that I really love this book for someone who's really just getting started is she has a whole section here just about herbs that we generally use in cooking. So these are culinary herbs that also have some amazing medicinal properties, and that is a great place to start. So even if you're new to herbal medicine, you most likely have at least most of those culinary herbs in your kitchen or maybe growing out in your garden already. And exploring the medicinal properties of those herbs rather than just the culinary benefits is a really great place to start. Because those herbs, since we use them for food, they tend to be very familiar. Most of them tend to be very safe. So that's a great place to start. And she also has these 24 safe and effective herbs here. These are also very accessible. These are also, in many cases, very familiar. Many of them grow wild, depending on your area. Many of them are very easy to grow in the garden. So I think this is a great starting point. So the second book that I want to mention in this video is actually also by Rosemary Gladstar. This one is called Rosemary Gladstar's Herbal Recipes for Vibrant Health. As you could guess from this book title, this book focuses mostly on herbal recipes. She has so many amazing herbal recipes in this book. She also has a section called a Materia Medica where she talks about different herbs and the properties that they have. But the real focus of this book is on recipes. And she has it all broken down into sections, as you can see here. She has a section for children, women, men, elders. She has a section for beauty, anxiety, everyday ailments. So this is a great place once you've read an introduction, you're familiar with a few herbs, and you want to learn a few more herbs and maybe go a little bit more in depth and try making some of your own recipes. This book is a great go-to. Again, similarly to the last book, I really enjoy her writing style. I find that she makes the subject really approachable, and I definitely recommend this book too. The third book that I want to mention is called The Modern Herbal Dispensatory. Hopefully I pronounced that right. A Medicine Making Guide. I really enjoy this book too. I think that this is a great, well-rounded, all-around guide to herbal medicine. Now, similarly to the last book that we looked at, he has a Materia Medica as well, where he lists a lot of different herbs, a lot of their properties. I find that when you really get into herbal medicine, it is really beneficial to have books from a variety of different authors, because each herb that you use is going to have a variety of properties, and different people using different herbs are going to, basically different things are going to be highlighted about each herb, and just hearing the experience that different people have with that particular herb can give you a really well-rounded view. So as I said, I really recommend getting books by a variety of authors. So what I really appreciate about this book, he has a whole section, or I guess this is actually two authors, so I should say they have a whole section. They have a whole section where they go into a little more detail about exactly how to prepare herbal medicines. So they talk about how to prepare a tincture, how to prepare an infused oil, a tea, either an infusion or a decoction. All the different preparations that you could use for herbal medicine, they definitely go into in this book. And in addition to that Materia Medica, where they share a lot of the different properties of the herbs, different suggestions for the herbs. And there is also a section in this book of sample recipes where they create some blends for different purposes with the herbs. So this one's a great go-to as well. As I said, if I'm researching a new herb, I really like to pull out a variety of books from a variety of different authors and compare what each of them has to say about the herb, and then draw on my own experience as well, because I find that that gives you a really well-rounded view. The next book that I really want to recommend is the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook. This is by James Green. Now, this book is amazing for teaching you how to make herbal medicine. He does talk to some extent about certain herbs in this book, but the real focus of this book is the how-to. I mentioned that the previous book talks about that a little bit too, but this book goes into a lot more depth. He does mention some herbs in here. I think he has a list of, say, 30 herbs that he recommends if you want to narrow it down to a manageable list of herbs. And he does talk about the properties of those herbs, but I think the real value of this book is, just as I said, the amount of detail that he goes into with teaching you how to make a tincture. He shares a lot of the science behind developing these herbal preparations, so I really highly recommend this book as well, especially if you're first getting started. But honestly, I refer back to this book all the time too, so this is a great go-to guide. The final book that I'm going to mention in this video, this one is a little more scientific. It's a little more hefty. It kind of looks like a textbook. This is Medical Herbalism by David Hoffman. This book takes a little bit of a different approach. This book really focuses more on the science of herbalism and the scientific properties of each herb. I find this book really helpful he gives recommended dosages for each herb. He really talks a lot about safety considerations when it comes to each herb. He'll talk a lot about contraindications, for example, certain herbs that you shouldn't take if there's certain medicines that you're taking, things like that. So if you're looking for a guide about using herbs safely, this is a great one. Now, everything that I mentioned is addressed to some extent in each of these books. For example, all of these books mention safety and contraindications, but I find that certain books are my go-to for certain aspects of herbalism. So I highly recommend all of these books, and as I said, it was hard to narrow it down. I probably have dozens of herbal medicine books, but it is so important in this world just to have access to written information in your home that you can always access. We've had times where we've lost power for more than a week, and I haven't had access to anything on the internet. And having this information written down and at your fingertips whenever you need it is just a great way to really be prepared for whatever life throws at you. And you know, websites get taken down. If you have a website that you rely on for something and then one day you go to look for it, it's not there. I can't even tell you how many times I have gone on the computer to try to find information that I've previously looked up 100 times, but just for some reason never bothered to print out, and it was gone, or I just couldn't find it for whatever reason. So having solid copies of this information in your house is, as I said, it's a great way to be prepared for anything that life can throw at you. So I definitely recommend creating your own home library of any subjects that are really important to you, in this case, herbal medicine. Now, As I mentioned, I will definitely be checking out Jessica's playlist to get more recommendations for more books. I know there's going to be so many great recommendations for topics like gardening, homesteading, probably other aspects of natural living as well. And I know for me, I do most of my reading in the winter when it's cold and I can't get outside. You know, here in Connecticut, we have long winters, so I need a nice long reading list. So I will definitely be checking back at that playlist to find more book recommendations, and I encourage you to do the same. As I said, I'm going to go ahead and link Jessica's channel in the video description. I will also leave a link to all of these books on Amazon, so if you're interested in checking out any of these books, definitely feel free to follow that link and get yourself a copy. So thank you guys so much for joining me in my garden today and talking about herbal medicine books. I hope that you're having a great day, and I can't wait to see you soon. I'll see you next time.